You're watching Discover Allah 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad, salutations of Allah and peace and blessings be upon him, is his final messenger, seal of prophets. Today I'm making a video, inshallah. These videos are generally for da'wah purposes only, for the non-Muslims, especially for the people of the book, the Yahud, the Jews and the Nasara. The Christians, and for the ones that are not from the Abrahamic faiths, but generally for the people of the book. So I thought I would make this video today with explaining. It's going to be concerning democracy versus Sharia law in a nutshell, explaining it. So when it comes down to democracy is that comprehensive legislative system that has been adopted by the Judeo-Christian Western world as their comprehensive system they govern by, and it stems from Greek Roman societies when it comes down to it, and it's with the belief that it's the people that govern themselves by the system of voting, for example, or maybe that's what it is today. Allah knows best about that. It derives from the word Democratari in Greek. So they'll have a voting system which the people vote. They are put into parties that they adopt, they choose as their party, and there's a voting process that takes place that basically the majority wins over the minority and they govern the country. This is when it comes down to democracy. That's the US has Democrats and Republican. They have two parties. In England and the UK here, they have Labour, Conservative, and the Liberal Democrats, and also other parties that are not that popular, such as UKIP and other parties, but free generally. And when it comes down to it, this is that system, that way of life. That's what democracy is like. Now, when it comes down to Sharia law is the Abrahamic covenants that once belonged to the Israelites, and then it was passed down to Ishmael after God promised Ishmael to become a blessed nation after the Israelites had rejected also the Messiah, going against the Messiah, the Prophet of Allah, the High Priest, and the people had rejected the Messiah in a majority. So even Jesus, I gave references to this in Matthew 21:43 about Jesus saying the kingdom of God will be taken away from them and given to those who bear its fruit in my past videos. If I give you an orange and then I take it away from you, give it to your brother, it's going to be the same orange. It doesn't become a banana. Oh, there's a new law, you can do what you like and you don't have to obey the laws of the past prophets that the people and the prophets lived by. So also other references when it comes down to Sharia law, also I mentioned other references such as Isaiah 35 concerning the description of the place of Mecca where Abraham built the Kaaba with Ishmael, about the dry desert land that blossomed. It will be called the highway to the holiness, and God will come through that prophet with vengeance against disbelief and injustice and tyranny. He'll come with vengeance, not him come literally, but he'll come through that dry desert land that blossomed in Isaiah 35. Also in Isaiah 42 speaks about that servant of God that God is pleased with, who's from the inhabitants of Qadr and the rock, and he comes to give judgment to the Gentiles. Lift up the voices, inhabitants of Qadr and the rock, in Isaiah 42. Qadr is the second son of Ishmael. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the description, the mentioning of the sons of Ishmael in Genesis 25:13. Nebuch and Qadr is the first two sons of Ishmael. That's in Genesis 25:13. And Isaiah 60 that confirms the Hajj pilgrimage and the Umrah pilgrimage. this altar that's run and managed by, that's in the custody or in the hands of Nebuch and Qadar, the first two sons of Ishmael in Genesis 25:13. And the Gentiles come from afar to delight at their altar and their ram offerings. This altar is made beautiful, and the gates never shut for worship 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. This describes the Hajj pilgrimage and the Umrah pilgrimage. So Sharia law is the Abrahamic covenant that's governed by Muslim lands, if they do adopt it. Generally, most of them don't these days, and some do. And generally, it's adopted and it's followed by KSA, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Now, when it comes down to it, if I ask you, what kind of friend would you befriend? Like a person you had to befriend and put your trust in. Would you put your trust and befriend a person who happens to be a schizophrenic, drunk, person who's violent, maybe sometimes, a person who has a multi-personality disorder? Yeah, like he has multiple personalities. 1 minute he's fine with you, 1 minute he shows another side with you, and sometimes he robs you. Would you befriend that kind of person, or would you befriend the one who's sane, logical, rational, who does things the right way, and you can trust him with your life, with your money, with everything? You can trust him with, and he's just, and he deals things with correctly, and you'll see like that his society flourishes more when it comes down to justice and certain matters. Like, so in a nutshell, this is what democracy is and Sharia law is if you judge a nation as an individual. Imagine a crazy person pointing at the one who's sane, saying that person's crazy, that person's illogical, irrational, they're doing things the wrong way, when they themselves, as a person, have multi-personality disorders. This is when it comes down to the nation as an individual, and the voting process of democracy is like a person that's thinking about who he should be this year. It's like the US, I'm going to be a Labour or Democrat. Yeah. And like how he feels like, oh, I feel like I'll be a Democrat or a Republican, sorry. Oh, I feel like I'll be a Democrat today. And in UK, they pick out of Labour, Conservative, Liberal, Democrats, and every couple of years, they'll vote. Like even in America, 4 years, like in America, like they'll decide, oh, I feel like I'll be Democrat or Republican. Like it's an individual that has a multi-personality disorder, and it's a schizophrenic, yeah, who you can't trust with your money, with your lives. Like, but when it comes down to the one who's sane, rational, logical, and trustworthy, you can trust them with your wealth, with your life, and how they, if you stay in their house, how they treat you. So I thought I would explain people like who are really confused because of the media, of the schizophrenic, you could say, who tries to tarnish the sane, logical, rational, God-fearing person, which is KSA, for example, the person who runs, or what is Sharia law, the Abrahamic covenant that once belonged to the Israelites, and Ishmael became a blessed nation through Muhammad, peace be upon him. So I fought for the people that always try to, they've been conditioned to like democracy and be under democracy. That's what they fall under, is that individual who's a schizophrenic, unrational, unlogical, intoxicated person, like who has a multi-personal disorder, and he doesn't know what he's doing. He always picks a personality that he wants to be under. So for the people that are open-minded, it's Allah who guides and Allah who misguides. From the Jews and the Christians, if they're sincere to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they'll accept Islam as that way of life to govern their people, because Sharia law is not for people to come and like force themselves on the people and legislate for and oppress the people that aren't even non-Muslims, because Sharia law is also a rights laws that even protects the rights of the non-Muslims in that society. And it's up to the people to pick a system. Even now you can see how things are, people are losing trust in that multi-person. They're starting to figure out, you know, himself, he's trying to like kind of doctor himself, like figure out, I've got a problem. Yeah, and I need to fix it, but he needs to figure out how to fix it. And sometimes it's by the person that he knows, and sometimes he talks back, he backbites and talks about that person there has the cure, and he's the one that will help him, and that's Sharia law, the Abrahamic covenant, and KSA, the example of the IshmaELites, and Islam and Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the Quran and Sunnah, the last testament. I thought I'd make this video and hopefully comment. Feel free to comment and ask any questions, or comment what you think. This is Discover Allah 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. I'll be back inshallah.